to encourage everybody, man. That's worshiping Jesus when nobody's watching, when you're all alone. The Bible says, be not drunk with wine, but filled with the Holy Spirit. Singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, making merry melody under your heart. You know, there's actually people out there that say, well, there's no God, and they don't believe in God and stuff. But if you'd ever pursue Him, if you'd ever draw near to Him, if you'd ever be alone when nobody's looking and nobody's twisting your arm, and you just approach Him, He's going to respond. You're going to bump right smack into Him, and He will change everything. See, it's just easy to live in your intellect. It's just easy to be analytical because the fall of man taught us to be that way. It's actually not a proud place to live, just the capacity of man's mind apart from Him. It's not really something to boast about. It's very limited. And actually, you're sure you're right and you're not even close. I'm just serious, man. There was this kid in a service one time, this young guy, man. He was on the front row, and I'm preaching, and we're having a blast, and I had people praying for each other, and this guy had an injury and an accident, and his leg was messed up, and people prayed, and it just changed. And we were down in the hills of West Virginia, and this boy, they brought him from back in the mountains somewhere. I mean, it was just amazing. This guy had this real southern accent. He had almost all his teeth were missing, and you could just tell. I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you, this guy was back in the woods, man. You could tell he hadn't brushed his hair for a long time. And somebody said, I want to take you to church. Jesus doesn't look at this man and say, man, I think you need to clean up and you need some dental help. And Jesus just came on him and loved him and fixed him, okay? It was amazing. The guy's crying. The person that brought him said, I've known him for years. I've never seen him even come close to crying. And he can't stop crying. There's this young man sitting here the whole time. He's just staring. God did something here. There's somebody crying here. There's something over here. This guy's sitting right here. And I'm kind of helping and orchestrating. I'm trying to stay a little out of the way and just let God move through the people. And I walked over and I said, what's going on with you, buddy? What's up with you? You sat here the whole time and just kind of looked. You've looked the same. He said, well, I don't believe in God. I said, you're kidding me. That's like pitiful. And he's like, and that's just what I said to him. I said, man, I would not boast in that at this point. I said, you're deliberately forcing yourself into that position. God's all around you. He's 10 feet away, healing and moving, and He's all around. And you have to force yourself to look straight ahead and not engage and not look around so you can maintain your position. I said, it takes nothing to not believe in God. It's the weakest position on the planet. Takes absolutely nothing to not believe. Oh my goodness. Think about it. It takes nothing. It takes something to get to know Him. It takes a little bit of humility. It takes a little bit of seeking and searching. And you say, well, why is it got to be that way? Because God wants that thing that we became through the fall to die in our hearts. And He wants us to humble ourselves and come to Him and believe He's a Father, believe He's good through the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So God makes the first move through His Son and says, it's your move. Draw near to me, I'm drawing near to you. Now, all along, you don't realize that He woos your heart. Now, I don't know why I started out like this, but I'm talking to several folks, just several. Look, God will leave 99 just to go for one, but it's actually more. There's just several folks here. And don't don't just go to just weigh and search. You'll find yourself with a critical heart. You'll find yourself in a place where your own mind's your own worst enemy. And the way that seems right to a man will be your wisdom, but it always leads to death. The people that do this, you can't tell me they're ever blessed. If they would get real, they're never blessed. There's never joy in their heart. You just say, yeah, right, okay, yeah. Man, come out of that thing. If you're in that today, please come out of that. Do yourself a big favor. I'm going to get off this now, but I'm just talking to a couple people. Look, attitudes are a dime a dozen. Jesus is Lord, and you're worth His blood. And this is time to get to know Him, guys. It's just that real. So here's what I'm saying. I got on all that just because it came to me quick, and I was talking about you singing. Man, every one of us can wake up and pursue Him and get to know Him more and more and more. And the more you get to know Him, this song just starts coming in your heart. The ability to pray and worship and talk to Him. In the beginning, it might seem slow. It might actually, in the beginning, for some people, it might seem like, man, but I'm telling you, make a step towards Him, everybody in this room. Because there's a place in the morning you could just be in your bathroom getting ready, and instead of dreading your day, and how am I going to get through this day, and man, I hate my job, and I hope they ain't acting up, and all this stuff, that's stuff that goes on in people. And then they pray about it and call that their prayer life and never really connect with God or commune with God. But what you were doing about, just, I love you, Jesus. I love you, God. I love you, God. Man, that song never ends. You could just add to that and flow in that. And next thing you know, he's your healer. He's the one that makes you stand. My feet are solid in you. I love you. And next thing you know, him and you and him, you got something going on. And he's real. He's not your theology. See, if you never pursue relationship, you'll live out of doctrine. And you'll live up and down. And your doctrine won't take you through, man. Sometimes your emotions will just get overwhelmed, and what you say you believe won't have the power to make the difference. But when you know him, when he's in you and grace is flowing through that revelation and you have intimacy with him, that's why you got to be careful not to let your heart get hurt, let your heart get hard. That's why once we're Christians, we got to guard our hearts, because out of our hearts flows the issues of life. And everything's trying to take a shot at you and decide who you are. And if you're not careful, you're going to be influenced by something. You think you're in control? You are not in control. You're a product of whatever, of something. I'm telling you, we were made for his image, and everything that's not God is trying to decide you. Whether it be your circumstances, a friend that betrayed you, a parent that wasn't there for you, a situation that didn't work for you, or God who wasn't there for you, something's going to start deciding you, and your attitude's going to come from something. Your mindset's going to come from something. Nobody's just individually in and of themselves. You cut off somebody and you're still a product of them. The reason you're the way you are is because of what they did, and you think you're winning. Come on. I'm just telling you, until we submit and surrender and we just say, Jesus, you're just my everything. Man, you made me for your image. You made me for your glory. You want to live inside of me. You want to reveal yourself to me. I see the cross as saying something to me, that you think I'm more than I ever thought I was. There's a potential, a destiny for my life. You wouldn't have done what you did on the cross if I'm just a failure waiting to happen. You want to be a father to me. That means you want me to be a son. You want to give me your spirit, the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead, to empower me and cause me to be everything you ever intended to be. I was trained by life, the world, the wisdom of the world. I'm asking you to train me, God. It's time for change. Come on, that's prayer. That's Christianity. You got to start there. You got to enter in there. Don't just live off of somebody's teaching. Don't just listen to teaching tapes on YouTube. People say to me all the time, man, I listen to you all the time, and it sounds like a compliment, but it gets me a little worried. I'm thinking, I hope you spend as much time or more with Jesus. Man, let what I'm saying take you to him. Come on. Some people do. They tell me all the time, man, I listen to you all the time. I go to bed with you. You're playing. I fall asleep while you're preaching. I think I put you to sleep when I'm preaching. I better preach better. No. But what I'm saying is, it's good to listen. It's okay. But make sure that as you're listening, don't just listen to worship and occupy your mind. You got to play it in the car all the time. Next thing you know, it's background noise. It's just occupying time. No, you hear what they're saying, and it's touching your heart, and all of a sudden, you're responding, you're worshiping. Keep your hands on the wheel and don't speed and say it was the Holy Ghost. Just drive. But worship Jesus and you hear the song and you say, that's exactly how you see me, Lord. And you're driving and you're like, that's exactly how you see me. Man, you really love me. You have a plan for my life. Yeah, if we're driving, I remember I got to keep my eyes open. And what I'm saying is, man, let's get engaged with him. Let's have intimacy with him, guys. Let's get to know him. The greatest gift of your life, outside of just life is a gift, but the greatest gift in that life is knowing him. Knowing him. Not having a best friend, not having a great marriage. That's awesome. I hope that stuff's all working out. Not having 3-4 kids because that was your dream. The greatest thing about your life is knowing him, because your life came from him and it's all for his glory. So if we live our life apart from knowing him, we're going to live it in a vacuum, and we're going to try to find ourselves through something else, when you can only find yourself through him, because there's only true fullness in him. To know the love of Christ, people. To know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, which passes every conversation at the coffee table. To know the love of Christ is to be filled with all the fullness of God. We grow into that place, takes away insecurity, lack of identity, the need to be someone, the need to somebody to recognize you as someone. You're never drawing attention, you're never insecure, you're never self-conscious, and you're not in the fear of man. Why? Because you're full. Your identity's sealed. You know who you are. You're not trying to find yourself anymore through one another. See, when you try to find yourself through one another, your heart gets hurt and hard because not everybody's doing what you need them to do. And all of a sudden, you're a product of their weakness, and you're only as strong as they're weak. And all of a sudden, you say, well, I'm this way because of this, this, and this. No, that has nothing to do with Jesus. I'm this way because of who he is, and then I can look at this situation through him. Come on, we become a product of life, and then we go to him to try to fix that. We let life speak louder than truth, but truth makes you free. Our feelings and emotions were degenerate, guys. We were trained by the wisdom of the world. Every one of us was homeschooled in the wrong home. Every one of us. You were taught, from the time you can remember, you were taught by the wisdom of the world. The way that seemed right to a man was your tutor and my tutor. We were enemies to God by the wicked way our minds worked. We think that's lust and adultery and bank robbery and murder. No, it's self-centered thinking and thinking for me, myself, and I apart from anything else. That's evil. Why? Because it's all about you, and unless the seed dies and falls to the ground, it abides alone, and at the end of your life, nothing's accomplished but self-preservation, and you still weren't preserved. Man, this thing is so simple to me now. Nobody can change this thing. Well, see, I'm no good for somebody who says, well, I don't believe in God, or there ain't no God, or you're in a dream, or you're just living out of your emotions. He talks to me every day, man. He's good to me. He's in me. He's real. I'm going to get on a plane today. Somebody's going to seatbelt beside me and say, how are you doing? And thank God I'm not going to say, well, I'm hanging in there. I'll say, I'm glad you asked. In my mind, I'm going to think, I hope you didn't ask rhetorically because I'm going to answer. You just pulled my cord a long way. Because I'm not going to have issues. I can promise you I'm not going to have issues. I'm not going to say, well, I'd be doing better if that lady wouldn't have cut me off and if that guy wouldn't have butted in front of me. I would just be doing better if this airline went, ooh, doesn't this airline just make you mad? That's not going to be my response. I promise. How you doing? Well, things could be better. What could be better? You're thinking circumstances. See, we're defining our life through the way it's going instead of the life that's in us. What could really be better? Jesus never lost sight of who I was created to be. His love has never failed, and his blood is speaking better things than the judgment of sin. He has removed it from me, gave me the opportunity for life. And he said, let me redefine why your feet are on the planet, Dan. You were living for you a minute ago. How about living for my image, my love, and my glory, and I'll give you everything necessary to make it possible. Are you in? And I'm like, yeah! So all of a sudden, my days of anger, frustration, disappointment, hurt, unforgiveness, they're over. Why? Because I see you the way he saw me, because that's what saved me, and that's what brings life. Come on, anybody can have issues. You're not macho if you have issues. You're just like every other man. You can have issues. It doesn't even make you right. It makes you apart from him. He doesn't have issues with you, man. He says, I love you. On your darkest day, he said, I know who you are. Yes, he wants that to change. Yes, he's not excited about that. It's not that he winks at sin. We're not talking about him just not caring about sin. He knows this man's life is more than what he was giving himself to, but love sees him for what's possible, potential, destiny, legacy, and future. And love doesn't change its mind, keeps wooing his heart, till one day he opens up and says, yes, God. And God comes into him as if he never sinned and restores his life. Old passes away. All things are new. The first day of life in Jesus Christ. That's the gospel. And all of a sudden, there's nothing about him yesterday that matters in the presence of God, because he has the present and things to come. Yeah. I'm going to be real with you. You either believe that or you don't. You're either yay or you're whatever, man. If you're whatever, man, you still have hope. Get alone with God and ask him to start revealing what I'm saying to your heart, and your heart will come alive. Some of us have just believed lies so long that our hearts almost feel numb. If you think your heart's numb, get alone with Jesus and give him a shot at your heart. Say, listen, man, that guy seemed really excited. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if he was a wacko or if he was for real, man. But if he was for real, let me start seeing just something of what he was saying and seeing, God, if you're out there and you want to love me that way or you care for me and have a plan, then I'm asking you to come and show yourself to me. Make my heart see you. And I'm willing. If what he was saying, if you really, come on, God's not intimidated or bothered that you pray that way. He's not sitting there waiting for you to say the magic words. He's looking for your sincere, humble, surrendered heart. And however that, here's how I got saved. God, if you're really real. He didn't get offended and say, well, I can't even hear you. You don't even believe in me. Come on. I said, if you're really real. Like if you're out there somewhere, I'm looking at the ceiling. You know how we look up. He's up there somewhere. He's like this old man, big white beard. That's how we picture him as a kid. At least I did. I don't know about you. I sure didn't picture him 30 years old and a bodybuilder and buffed. I pictured an old man with white hair and a long beard. But he probably doesn't, he's life. He's probably so vibrant and ridiculous. The image of God is probably like, nothing old about him. Like this white hair, it has nothing to do with age. It's wisdom. It's just wisdom. Woo! And all the whiteheads say, amen, brother. I've been with him too. Oh my goodness. I said, if you're really out there, if you're real, Lord, you love me, can forgive me for all these things. What was I asking for? I looked into my own heart and got real with me for the first time in my life. I realized I didn't have nothing for you. I didn't care about you. I cared about me and didn't even like me. When the rubber met the road, I had to realize I didn't even like me. And yet I cared about me and didn't even like me. Isn't that weird? I needed you to like me to make me feel likable. So I would try to draw attention. If I could make somebody laugh or somebody say, hey, you're awesome. It's like getting high, man. I'm awesome? Whoa. So then you try harder to get, somebody says, man, I like hanging out with you. What'd you say? I like hanging. You get them to say it twice so you can hear it twice. It's a double hit. Come on, this stuff's real, man. You can be in the church, see your need for a Savior, understand the need for the forgiveness of sins, and never catch what I'm saying and live insecure for 30 years of Christianity. Have issues, leave your church, get hurt by your pastor, a congregation member, do the silent treatment for 2 weeks to somebody, sit on this side because so-and-so's there, have your little clique because you're safe, but they bother me. And all of a sudden we're living like we don't know him. And the truth is we don't. We just see our need for him, so we receive him because of the forgiveness of sins, but we never get to know him and be made like him. Now, I'm just bringing it this morning. Listen, going to church is not Christianity. Going to church is assembling yourselves so you stir one another up in love and good works because we are Christians. Church isn't what makes you Christians. Church is where you assemble to see that we have a like faith and we're going after something and we're stirring ourselves up because we're on the same page. But Christ-likeness is Christianity, not church. Come on, man. What have we accomplished if we sing, holy, 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 and then we fight on the way home in the car? You're teaching yourself religion, and you're living 1,000,000 miles from his heart. You know what you're teaching your kids? The church attendance is Christianity because there's nothing like Christ when we leave. And then kids get confused and hurt and don't want no parts of church. Christianity is being in union with him. It's being one with him. It's knowing that he loves you, son, and he's touched your heart, and now you give your love back to him. Then you know what the next result is? You start becoming that very love. And all of a sudden, you're more secure than you've ever been before. And all of a sudden, you ain't even trying to fit into your little groups and be noticed by your peers. You've been noticed by the living God. In fact, so much that he's come inside of you to set up shop for the rest of your life. And all of a sudden, that's a happy day, man. And they're like, dude, what's up with you? And you're just going to tell them, man. It's not that you got to preach with a bullhorn. They say, what's up with you? Man, you carry yourself confident. You this, you that. Man, how can you care about someone? Didn't you see what they did? How can you care? Man, you should be mad. I don't know how to get mad anymore. What do you mean you don't know how to get mad? They're mad because you don't get mad. And all of a sudden you get to pour out your heart. Why? Not because you have a message, because you have a life that's changed. And all of a sudden your words carry weight and go right into their heart because He's went into yours. Oh, now you ain't just talking doctrine. You're talking what you've become. You guys getting this? Come on, man. Satan could care less if we're here this morning. I think he coaxes some people to go so he can blind them by religion. So he can get them to attach their identity to what they're a part of or what they do instead of what they've become. I'll tell you when the enemy gets concerned, when you start looking like Jesus. When the word starts becoming flesh. You know why the storm comes to the wise and the foolish? It comes to destroy what's being built, not the individual. We take circumstances personal. You better realize the enemy's trying to stop the kingdom of God. He could care less about you. He just knows you have the potential of carrying it and manifesting it. The storm comes to shake what was built. The thing that was built doesn't move in the wise man's life. It didn't come to kill the person inside the house. It came to knock down the house. That's the thing that was built in Christ. That's the life that's 2 steps forward, 3, 4 back, and after a while, oh well, and you settle into Christian function. I want you to think about this. We were born into a demon war against the kingdom of God, and you get the right and the glory and the benefit of fighting on behalf of the King. Listen, I'm just going to be straight. I don't usually even preach like this. This is different for me, but watch this because it sounds too challenging. It's kind of troubling my heart, but it's here, and I know how it is when it's here. I have to say it. You're going to serve something, and you're going to reproduce something. Whether it's light or whether it's dark, it's going to be one way or the other. You say, well, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of gray. Gray belongs to dark. What comes out of your life, you're created this way. There's nothing you can do about it. It was God's plan. It's His wisdom. He made you for His image, period. You can find that in Genesis. You can find that a lot of other places. You behold in the mirror the glory of the Lord and being transformed into His same image by the Spirit of God from glory to glory, by the Spirit of God, right? It says that you put off the old man and his deeds in Colossians 3:10, and you're put on the new man who's renewed in knowledge according to the image of Him who created him. Romans 8, you were predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son. If He didn't spare His own Son, but delivered Him up for us all, how shall He not give us all things through the Son? He's not talking about full vats and barns. He's talking about everything necessary to be like Him. And if all we do is preach a gospel that takes us to heaven and blesses us and fills our vats and barns and brings us favor, we're going to miss the heart of God and the love of God, and nobody's impressed with our self-serving Christianity. Because we're just as mad as our neighbor that doesn't believe in God. We're offended like they are. We're angry, we're gossiping, we're justifying our lives. That's not to be. See, you're going to manifest something. Come on, man. Somehow we've gotten trapped. No, I'm not preaching to you guys. I'm saying at large. When I say us, I'm talking to church. At large, you've all heard the message. He just died on the cross to forgive us of our sins so we can go to heaven. He wants to give us favor. He wants to bless us. He wants to make our life better. No, He wants to change your life so you look through a different eye and you have a whole different reason for being, and your motive for life is totally changed from the day before. You were living for you. It was about you. You were self-conscious. You needed certain things. You expected from people. You had the ability to be broken, hurt, disappointed because your expectation was from men. And now it's all about Him, His image. I release all men. I die to myself. I'm free from me. I finally see you clear, and I'm finally free from you. You owe me nothing. I'm becoming love. Let's get it on. Come on, that's Christianity. And yet it's amazing, I've been saved for 20 years and crying from the rooftop for a long time, and I still run into the same issues, same hurts, same frustrations, same people problems. Well, you don't know what I'm going through, and our focus is always on us and how we feel and what's happening. And I'm telling you, God wants us to grow up into Him and let grace come upon us and change the way we think. You see what I mean? Because then you're free. Look, I'm not comparing me to you. It sounds a little weird when I preach this way to me, but I have 20 years of Christ in my life and my background. I'm known back home for consistency. What you see is what you get. That man got set on fire in 95. He's been in love with Jesus. He's the same. If I call him, I know what I'm getting. If I bump into him, I know what I'm going to see. You want that. A good name is to be treasured more than any gold, any silver. You want people to see your life and say, man, I ain't even sure what he got, but I know he knows what he got. And after a while, that'll break them down. After a while, that'll open their heart. That'll cause them to give their heart to what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? I'm not this way because life hasn't come at me. I'm not this way because I never get challenged with situations and circumstances. I'm this way because he loves me and I understand why I'm alive and who I am when those things come. Look, when you squeeze an orange, you expect orange juice. It would be weird if it was apple, grape, nice sun-kissed orange, little Pampered Chef, little, you know what I mean. And you put it on the pulp thing where the pulp flows through. You don't catch the pulp. I like to let the pulp flow through. It's thick. If it was apple juice, you'd spit it out. You'd be like, pfft. Not that you don't like apple juice, it's an orange. It would shock you, Gerald. You would be like, what? You'd call your wife and tell her. She'd say, what were you drinking, Gerald? Would it be weird? Would it be weird to squeeze an orange and get apple juice? Why isn't it weird when you squeeze a Christian and get everything but Christ? Man, it should be weird. It should just be weird. But wonder if the enemy's learned that we're not sure why we are what we are, and we've misappropriated the message. We made it all about blessings. We made it all about favor. We made it all about eternal life instead of transformed life. We've all made it all about what he can do for us instead of how he can make us more like him. Look, I don't have a poverty mentality, but you keep all the vats and the barns and the blessings and the favor if you don't give me his image. Because if I don't become who he is, then what he has to give me doesn't have the same importance. Godliness with contentment is great gain. If the enemy ever learns that you need something apart from knowing him to satisfy your joy, that's the target, and you will be a sitting duck for adversity. And then more comes and more comes and more comes. And you say, why is God letting all these things happen to me? And you get more confused and farther away from him. And he's not letting anything happen. You're positioned for it. In all you're getting, get understanding. Study and show yourself approved. You read that word of God to know him. And who he is comes alive inside of you. I'm telling you people, it's not enough to be loved by God. We sing it all the time. I preach it all the time. But I always take it one more step. It's not enough to be loved by God. It's finished when you become like that love. Being loved by God, if you never take the step, stays self-centered and selfish. You're going to tell me you're being loved by God and you don't have love for people? You're hiding behind a confession. It's impossible to be loved by God and not become love. He says, if you know me, you'll love. This isn't my sermon. Don't look at me that way. It's in your Bible. Look, he says, he who loves knows God and is born of God. He who doesn't love doesn't know God. Doesn't say you didn't see your need for a Savior. Didn't say you're not going to heaven. He didn't say that you weren't sincere when you repented. But he said if you don't love, there's only one reason. It's not because people are unlovely. It's because you don't know him. Look, the enemy himself doesn't believe any of us really love God. He just believes we need God. You can read that. You can find that in the book of Job. You can find that in your Bible. He doesn't believe you love God. He believes you need God. He's out to prove it. He's out to press your life and throw things in your face and get a rise out of you, get you even to get mad at God, get in a quandary, get puzzled and draw back and prove that it's all about you and blessings and a smooth ride instead of the image of God and the nature of God in the face of it all. See, the Christian makes peace. The Christian shows mercy. The Christian lets mercy triumph over judgment. The Christian covers a multitude of sin with love. The Christian takes no account of the suffered wrongs, the wrongs that are done to it. The wrongs, not the accidents and mistakes, the intentional wrongs, doesn't even blink. Why? Because it's rock solid in love, and all it does is lay down its life to bring out the highest sake of others. It doesn't take life personal. It's taken him personal, and now it sees clear. Come on, man. Do you hear the powerful place that I'm telling you is available? If this wasn't possible, why does he tell us to put off anger and wrath and malice and all that stuff? Come on, if that's just the way we are, why does he tell you to put it off? He doesn't tell you to manage it, church. Anger management, unscriptural. Anger management's like hidden hypocrisy. You're angry, but you're not showing it. I'm smiling at Tim, and I'm being good about it, and I'm not reacting, but boy, do I got issues, and I'd love to give him the peace of my mind. I'm a great manager of anger. Whoopee! Jesus says, if you hate, you already murdered. So I ain't never killed nobody. You might be killing a lot of folks in your own heart and mind. Why? Because when you hate them, you cut off their destiny. You only see them for what you're mad at. You can't see them for more. You can only see them for what they did wrong, not what they're created for. And all of a sudden, you're bound in the limited eyes of a fallen man. And you've allowed their act to define your heart. And they've actually, the one you hate, has become Lord of your life. Because they govern you and decide who you are. How's that for a revelation? And you think you're winning because you cut them off and you've already lost. Whew. I read this book, it taught me all this stuff, man. I've been so free for 20 years, I can hardly talk about it. People think I'm in denial. I can hardly talk openly about my personal life in the church because people can't relate in the church. That's why I cry out this stuff, because I've observed it along the way, and I'm thinking, man, we aren't here to do church. I talked about this with this guy yesterday and some leaders. I said, look, we're not just here to hear the Lord's voice. We're not here. I appreciate giftings and stuff, and I appreciate training and equipment. We're supposed to do that, but we're only supposed to do it through the wellspring of love. The excellent way is love. It's not desiring to be used by God. It's becoming like God and then being used by God. Don't even look for a word of knowledge if you're not pursuing the heart of God in love. If you're not walking in love, don't you prophesy. You're going to get in trouble. Your identity is going to get wrapped around your gifting. You're going to get a big head, and you're going to get weird. Who cares if you can prophesy if you can't love? Then the only reason you're prophesying is to feel like somebody, to feel spiritual, and then your gift is going to get a hold of you. Who cares if you can read somebody's mail? Whoa, dude, you just read my mail. Yeah? Yeah, man. Hey, give me a word. Whoa, how do you know that? What do you do for a living, man? I'm a mail reader. No, you're a son. And you love people. I love people for a living. And because I love, he lets me see some things, and it's really humbling, and it makes me cry because it really helps people. What an honor to walk with him. That's a whole different tone on gifting, huh? Be very careful. There's supernatural schools all over the country. It's a craze if we're not careful. And we have right intention, but if we miss love, we've missed the point. I heard a preacher that I respect well say we're handing kids sticks of lit dynamite without telling them it's going to blow. It's not wrong to desire gifts. It's not wrong to come to this school. It's wrong to pursue it without pursuing him, without pursuing love. You could have knowledge, read your Bible. You could have knowledge of all mysteries, not some. You could have faith to move every mountain, not some. Come on, guys, be real. That's a spiritual icon in today's church. Everybody's thronging for impartation from that individual. Everybody wants a word. And the Bible says if he doesn't love, he's got nothing. He's missed the whole point. It doesn't say he has something, he has nothing. But he got knowledge of all mysteries and faith to move all mountains. If he doesn't have love, he's got nothing, and it's going to blow up. And in time, something's going to shift if that doesn't change, and it's going to misrepresent what's good. And you're going to read about it in the paper, and your heart's going to sink because you're not close to God, and now you're going to back off instead of press in. You're going to say, brother so-and-so, he what? Oh, how can this, what's even real? You wouldn't ask what's real if he's real. If you're trying to find real through others, that's the wrong place to look. Are you guys all right? Yeah. Come on, we're gathered together. We're family. We might as well have a little living room talk. Or we can get all woo if you want. Yeah, actually, I don't know how to do that. I just know how to be real. Listen, I've got to live with me. I got to look myself in the mirror every day, man. Did you notice that? That you got to look at yourself in the mirror, dude? You figured that out, right? Listen, it's sad if you can't look yourself in the mirror, you're looking at a lie every day, or you're trying to look past a lie, or if you're just living in denial. There was a time I looked in the mirror, and I didn't even know what I was looking at. There was a time I was so angry, and I was sure I had a right to be. I was mad at you and didn't even know you. I was like, if you just changed people, the world would be a better place. Duh! I was probably on the list. Come on, man. I bet I was on the list, but somehow I made it about them. God, if you just change the people, did you ever think that in your life? God, if you would just change people, you'd watch the news and you think, God, why don't you just change folks? It would be such a better place. The world, if you just bzz, 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 you could do it, God. You could bzz. You could tweak them. It would be better. The whole time he's like, missing the point, missing the point. You got your eyes on them. What about you? See, because when I changed, I saw you different. Yeah. I used to see what was wrong with you, now I see what's possible. You know why I saw what was wrong with you? It's the way I saw myself. You love your neighbor as yourself. It's the second greatest commandment, is to love God with all you are and love your neighbor as yourself. Wonder if you don't have love, and wonder if you don't have a good view of you, then you're going to see your neighbor like you see you. If you see you clear, you'll see them clear. If you see you how God sees you, you'll see them how God sees them. And all of a sudden you fulfill the greatest reason you're alive. You love him to become love. He loves you to become love. He doesn't love you to take you to heaven. He loves you to put heaven in you so you can love the world around you. Come on, guys. God wants to do something everywhere on the earth. It's not just, I understand he's geographically strategic at times, but there is no place that's not important to him. And there is no human being that doesn't matter. When you look at the store of humanity, everybody's wearing the same price tag. There's no price check or barcodes. Everyone's worth the blood of Jesus. So you're all a big deal to God. Now, you can let life talk you out of that. You can let your emotions talk you out of that. You can let your little coffee shop conversations talk you out of that. But the blood says it's true. So the just live by what? Feelings and emotions or faith? Well, I don't feel loved. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, but you are loved. Well, how do you know? Christ came, died, and rose from the dead. And if you'd get alone and close the door with nobody looking and out of your heart say, Lord, I'm believing you love me. If you really sent Jesus like I'm reading, it can only mean one thing, you love me. So I want to know your love and reveal it to me. But I'm starting here. I believe you do, or Jesus, you never came. See, if you come like a child like that, push all that analytical stuff that's ate our lunch out the window. You know that analytical mind didn't come from God, right? People say, well, God gave us the ability to reason, not the way we know reasoning. He never gave you the ability to talk yourself out of him. That came when Eve listened to the wrong voice and Adam submitted to her instead of God. Hello? There's seminaries that teach strong not to let anybody take your God-given gift to reason. You only have the ability to reason if you're filled with the Word of God. Your reasoning becomes the way that seems right to man, and it's not from God. If your reasoning is rooted in self-centered thinking, it's actually earthly, sensual, and demonic, according to James 3. Hello? And you got it all laid out in the court of your mind. Yeah, but you don't know what I've been through. Well, they shouldn't have. Well, I only feel this way because. And you got it all justified, and none of it has to do with truth. It just has to do with men. And now you're a product of what they failed in, and now you become a product of their failure. How is that okay? Come on, I've counseled for years, and people say, man, we need to talk. I've been through this, and they did this, and I'm just hurting, man. And we've spent our lives ministering to people with broken hearts, expecting everybody to be broken. There's ministers that spent their whole life having altar calls telling why people in the room are broken, and they cry and walk forward, and we call it a move of God, and nobody's teaching them they don't have to be broken. You don't have to be broken. You can love not your own life unto death. You can understand why you're alive and never take people personal again. You can take the gospel personal and become a lover, and love's not broken. See, the problem is we were taught by life, and we need to be taught by Him. We got to get renewed in the spirit of our mind. We got to be transformed, but no longer conformed to the world. Transformed by thinking different. The eye is the lamp of the body. If my eye's single, whole body flooded with light. Unless, of course, you're faced with many challenges and issues, and your best friend just did you wrong. It doesn't say that. It says, if I see clear, I am clear, no matter what. Why? Because it's never again about me. It's never again just about me. Never again just about me. Pastor, I want you to preach something happy. This is happy. Because if you ever get out of the way, you'll realize you're finally free. And you'll think, wow, I didn't have as many problems as I thought. I was the biggest stumbling block of my life. Look, the devil's not even your worst enemy. He's just taking what you give him. The ruler of this world cometh, and he has nothing in me. That sounds pretty free. He cometh and has nothing in me. Isn't that what Jesus said? Did Jesus say, follow me? Can I have a pure heart? The pure in heart shall see God. Is it possible to have a pure heart? Or are our hearts always just wicked? Come on, your old heart was wicked. Your new heart is filled with God. Well, brother, the heart is continually wicked and deceitful in all its ways. Not New Testament, New Covenant through His blood. I've taken out your old heart and I put in a new one. Thank you. Don't tell me I have to be wicked. Don't tell me I have to be evil. He said, if I live by the Spirit, I won't fulfill the lusts of the flesh. So if the devil can keep you flesh conscious, you'll never live by the Spirit. You'll just do church. I'm sorry, it's just true. Are you guys okay? Good. You know why I ask that? It's not because I'm insecure and hope that I'm preaching good. I am always preaching good. I always know it, I can tell. I ask that because I care about you and I want you to hear. I honestly believe, I'm not being arrogant, I believe what I'm saying is so rock solid and scriptural that it's the Spirit of God. And Jesus always says, he who has ears to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying, let him hear. You have an open invitation to humble your heart and hear the Lord. He says, don't be led like in the wilderness after the Lord has spoken that you've hardened your hearts. Open up your hearts. Don't say, yeah, brother, but you don't know what I'm going through. See, that's the whole point. That's the lie of your life. You want to just hold up your story as if it's Lord, but everybody in the room has a story. So now you put us in a tough spot because you say, yeah, but you're not being sensitive to me. But what do you want me to be sensitive to? What you've been through or who you are? What are you asking for? Because somehow when we've been through hell, we feel like something has to be made up for. No, something just has to change. Here's the dilemma. Watch. We say it's all about heaven. Where's that young lady? Somebody handed you a book. Was it Heaven Invades Earth? Is that what I saw the book was? See, that's amazing. We want to talk about heaven invading earth, and it's an amazing book. Bill Johnson wrote it. Check it out if you didn't read it. It's good. I've read, on one hand, in 20 years, I can count the books I read. I'm not a book reader. I'm a Bible reader, but I read that book. The Lord actually asked me to read that book. I said, yes, Lord. It's a great book, but it's about God's will on earth as it is in heaven. Right? So we always talk about that, and we always say about God's will on earth, and we usually make it about power and miracles. But wonder if it has more to do with the heart of God than the power of God. Look, if you can't find anger and backbiting in heaven, then we all say, well, it ain't on, cancer ain't in heaven. It don't need to be on the earth. Well, pain ain't in heaven. And it always has to do with healing and blessing and things we can receive from God instead of the heart of God. Dissension's not in heaven. Why is it in the church? Unforgiveness not in heaven, that's for sure. You wouldn't be filled with the Spirit of God. God would be still considering. Why do we fight with unforgiveness and say, well, brother, I'm trying to forgive? Because we were trained by unforgiveness, because we were thinking for ourselves from the day we were born. Jesus said, if you come to me, deny yourself. He didn't say pray a prayer to get your name in the book of life. He said, if you come to me, deny yourself. Why? You're the biggest problem. You were never made for you. You were made for God's image. Why is deny yourself first? It's the biggest problem on the planet. Men living for themselves when they were made for God's glory. What's going to happen if you deny yourself? You're going to pick up your cross. What's pick up your cross? Taxi through every injustice, every unfairness, and every sin, and never let it decide who you are. Never let sin against you produce sin in you. Overcome evil with good. You're following Jesus. Why is this important to talk about in church? So we don't ever just do church, so we run well together, so we co-labor together, so we fulfill the hearts of leaders and the people we've combined with, so that love can sweep this area called Lexington. So we're not just another group that gathers on Sunday and does what we feel good doing, but we've become something and it affects our everyday life in our world. All of a sudden on work, our attitudes are different. In life, our attitudes are different. In the mall, we have compassion on people, pumping gas. It's nothing for you to care so much about the person you never saw on the other side and say, hey buddy, you doing okay today? Man, it's awesome. These prices come down a little, huh? How you doing? How's your body? You've been having some pain? In fact, is it in your hip and stuff? And he's like, how do you know that? Man, listen, I'll explain later. Give me your hand. It's going to be amazing. He's like, what? He thinks you're going to read his palm, you know? He's like, look, when you understand where you're alive, that stuff's easy. That's not ministry. It's the expression of love. It's not, you park your car because somebody's really hurting along the road. Did you ever see somebody walking and you saw they're really hurting? And your heart just goes, oh. Did you ever see somebody in public and your heart goes, oh? Man, that'd be a good time to walk over and just start talking, even if you're nervous. Be a Nike commercial. Just do it, man. Just get through the emotions and the self. That's a good way to walk through those walls that seem to be there and just push through them, man. And just say, hey, man, when I saw you, my heart. And you're not even sure what you're going to say when you get there, but you know your heart went, oh. Man, what a good time to go put yourself there. And it'll work out. It'll just work out good. I'm just telling you, it'll work out good. Just put yourself there. I've done that. If I'm driving and I'm heading somewhere, if I tell somebody I'm going to be there on time, pastor joke, pastor's always late. I try not to let that be me. But if I tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, and I'm coming. But I'll stop. If somebody's walking along the road, my heart does that, I pull over my car. And you just get out, excuse me, hey, man, what's going on? You look like you're in so much pain. Oh, yeah, they said, do you know me? I mean, did you park? I had a lady say, are you a doctor? It's like, I parked the car and she saw it and I came over and I started asking. She said, are you a doctor? One guy said, are you a chiropractor? I said, no, but your bones are about ready to get adjusted, my friend. It's just funny. But here's what they think. They think it's radical because you're parking your car to pray for them, because people don't think for others that way. And if people do approach somebody, there's usually a string attached, and it's usually what's in it for you. So when you approach people, they're on guard and their brows raised and they're still wondering where the catch is. Here's the beautiful thing. There's no catch to love. We have to be careful in the church that we take that catch away. Sometimes we get these evangelistic ideas and we organize ministry. We're going to give them water on a hot day so we can preach to them. Give them water because they're thirsty. They're on to us. It's a marketing tool. They see it as solicitors. There's 5 of you in the mall and you're just doing outreach. You got to be careful with that. Because the guy that's limping in the cast, and you can't tell because it's a hard cast if he's even healed, so he still has the cast. You see him as a target because he has the cast. Ooh! And you're the 4th person that just prayed for him and he hasn't even made it through the mall, and he's never been prayed for in his life in public. And he's going, man, you're the 4th person that just told me, what's up, is a church group in here or something? All of a sudden the heart of love gets missed. It's just evangelistic. Not everything has to be organized ministry, guys. You don't do it because it's what your church is doing on the 3rd night of whatever. You do it because it's who you are and it's powerful. It's just who we are. It's why we come here every week. We come here to celebrate Him because our lives are brand new. We don't come here hoping to catch a break because we're really going through hell. If you were going through hell, there is a break to catch, but make sure you understand you're alive for Him first so that you manifest even while you're going through hell, you look like Him. See, because that story thing, remember I said about the book, I want to finish that, Heaven on Earth. So we always talk about heaven on earth, your will be done, and we're always talking about it. It's a phrase in the church now. It got really popular, but it's powerful, so don't lose the power of it just in the craze of it. Sometimes we make things movements in the church. It scares me because then we attach to a movement, find our identity in what we're a part of instead of what we've become. People say, well, brother, back off. You're not being sensitive. You don't know what I've been through. That's a tough place to put people in when they're preaching or when they're trying to help you, because if everybody was in that position, guess what we're forced to do? Listen to everybody's story and decide who's been through the most hell, because somebody's been through worse than you. Seriously. And guess what we do then? Then we make it all about the hell we've been through, and we sing it's all about heaven. And yet what's dominating our heart is the hell we've been through. And you say, yeah, but brother, back off, man. People are hurting. People are this. The gospel is designed to change that. You look and go, wait a minute. There was a strategy set against me my whole life. People weren't seeking Jesus. People didn't know Jesus. The enemy was trying to destroy me, break my heart, touch me wrong, touch me bad, and get me so hurt, so broken, and so hard that when I heard the good news, nothing was good about it because I have issues. I'm not buying in. Man, if my dad knew Jesus, he would have loved me. If my uncle knew Jesus, he'd have never touched me wrong. And I could say, where was God and why did you let that happen? But I'll tell you where God was. He was sending His Son and paying the price for all sin to snatch me out of darkness and put me into the light and fill me with His Spirit and make me brand new again. So now I'm a new creation in Christ. I ain't looking back. I'm moving forward. My life is free in Him. Did you get it? That sure beats, brother, you don't know what I've been through. What about what he's been through? I'm talking about what he's been through. The truth about you is what he's been through. I've had people say countless times, brother, I hear what you're saying. I see you're all excited, but you don't know what it was like when I was growing up. That mentality has to die in the church, guys. It's a limitation to faith. Look, so now do I have to tell you what it was like growing up? Growing up in the city, alcoholic dad, poverty, sick mom for 40 years. She died to me young, touched wrong when I was little. What, do you need any more? That's not my story. My story is created in His image, before time seen, before I was seen, a time to be born. Here I am. Let's get past the lie and let's get it on, man. That's my story. What's your testimony, brother? Been loved by God since the beginning, man. When my mom and my dad came together and my dad went into my mom, he was probably drunk and she was looking good to him. I'm just being real. And there was about 500 million squigglies racing to that egg. And it was me. And I was predestined before time. God saw me and was ready to adopt me in before the foundation of the world. I was His. So swim as hard as you want, boys. Try to get there if you will. It's me. I'm coming through. And you're going to say, I'm happenstance, and my life's an accident, and I don't fit in. And there's a time to be born, your Bible says. And here you sit. You have to be the will of God. Don't you let life talk you out of it, and don't you let the devil steal your identity or destiny. Suicide is the most tragic thing because men take what's not theirs. They take away destiny. They take the right to their own life when it was given by God as a gift to manifest His nature and image. And the only reason you believe you have that as a right is because man ate the tree and got estranged to God. And now you've taken life into your own hands. The biggest tragedy and deception is when men take their own life. It's not theirs to take. It's a gift from God. And the only reason it's such a trial and a struggle is because we're trying to live it apart from Him. Look, you don't put metal in a microwave, church. Read the manufacturer's handbook. It's not cool. You put metal in a microwave, you'll mess up the microwave because it wasn't made for that. You live for yourself. you'll mess it up, man, because you weren't made for that. Read the manufacturer's handbook. No man was ever made for himself. Let us make man in our image. So Jesus comes in the likeness of sinful flesh, never sins, sheds his holy blood, becomes what we were on the cross. God curses sin in the flesh. Sin shall have no dominion over us. We get new life through Christ. He takes off the old, puts on the new, sees me as if I've never eaten a tree. Man, we can get it on now. But if I miss that and I'm just a Christian for my sake, life's going to be very challenging. If you're a Christian for you, you're already in trouble. If all your little faith prayers are on the fridge to bless your day and pray for favor in your day, and that's the only revelation of faith you have, you're letting how the day goes decide who you are and how close you are to God. It has nothing to do with nothing. Come on. I told him yesterday a little story. I could tell you some days I've been through. There was one day where I got bit by a dog, looked like I was bleeding to death, and had death threats and police trying to escort me out of a church all in the same day. What an amazing day to shine. So you wipe off your leg, blood's all over the road, it looks like you're going to die to the dog owners. You hug them and tell them you love them, and this is a day of mercy because your dog could have bit somebody other than me. It could have bit some old man, some old lady, some young kid, or some person that didn't have the heart that I have, and you could be in big trouble. But your dog bit me. You're in good fortune because I love you. So listen. Don't you ever let this dog out again. Don't you? He's never out. We don't know how he got out. I understand, but listen, he was out, and he did bite me. Can never happen again. This is a day of mercy for you because something really bad could come out of it the next time, but only good comes out of it this time. Do right. Find wisdom through this situation and know that I love you guys. She said, "Can I take you somewhere?" Don't you? I said, "I got to run 2.5 more miles, honey. I'll see you later." And I hugged him and took off running. Then I go to church and they tell me, "We think somebody has threats against you. We're afraid that somebody's going to try to do something bad to you." I'm like, "You can't hurt me. You can't kill me. I'm never going to die." So I preach this all the time, and then I got the privilege of walking in it. It was so fun. I told him, "Listen, diffuse this thing. If you're afraid of that, okay, so what? It's intimidation. It's a spiritual thing. You have to face intimidation and it'll follow you your whole life, and it's called living in fear. You're not following me. You're not hovering over me. You're not escorting me to the car. No, no, no. Diffuse this thing. I'm going to love on people. I'm going to chat. I'm going to hang in the parking lot. I'm going to drive out of here like I would any other night." So they say they're going to kill me. Let's see if they can. Let's get it settled. Come on. You have no authority over what you fear. Wonder if I don't fear, and wonder if authority comes. And I actually have authority in my life. Wonder if he's given me the power of life and death in the world and all that stuff like the Bible says, and wonder if I happen to believe it. You say, "Brother, you're out of your mind." I might be out of yours. Are you guys all right? Am I blowing this thing up? What time do you usually end? Tell me, man, don't get religious or lie to me or anything. Are you usually done by now? 12:30? See, it hit me. I thought I better check. Are you guys getting anything out of this? I'm not asking that for approval. Just, is this speaking to your hearts? Now listen, the reason I'm asking this is, listen, you're the steward of your heart. What you do with a fellow like me and what I'm saying today is between you, your conscience, and God. I can't make you love him. I can't make you want him. But I can tell you who he is and why he came. And I can trust that wonderful Holy Spirit to woo your heart and touch your heart and bring you to a place where you say, "You know what? This is good news. I think I've been carrying the baton too long. I think I've been driving the car on my own way too long. Man, I've even seen my need for a Savior, and I've understood that I need forgiveness of sins. I've understood. I confess, man, I've messed up, and I want God to forgive me. But I haven't given myself to become in love. I let people get under my skin. I need new skin." Come on, man. We say that, we say, "Man, did they bother you?" "Oh, yeah, they bother me a lot. They just got that personality. Yeah, they've been getting under my skin." And so then we pray for them to change, and God wants you to get new skin. So, "They really ruffled my feathers." Get plucked. Isn't it amazing? When in your eye you're seeing what's wrong with people, that you feel like you have to pray about what's wrong with them instead of pray over their destiny and for them to come to fruition. So actually what's motivating you to pray is fault finding. You don't want to even think like that. You don't even want those first impressions. You want to see people and know that Jesus paid a price for them and they have destiny, and whether they know it or not, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. That phrase sounds familiar to me. Where did I hear that? Forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. Did somebody say that somewhere along the way? Was he kind of in this position? Did he deserve to be in this position? Did he do anything wrong? Was he still in this position? Did he change his mind about men? Did they do him really, really wrong? More wrong than anyone's ever done you? Did he change his mind? I'm going to follow him, not just sing to him. I'm going to follow him, not just pray to him when I'm shook up. I'm going to follow him. I'm asking you to follow him with me. I'm asking you to follow him so you can touch your sphere of influence, so the people around you get to know him because you do. Not because you have to preach to them, because he's changed you. You don't have to be an evangelist. Love is evangelistic. You will be an evangelist when you become love. If you don't become love, you'll try to be an evangelist, and you'll bother as many people as you bless. Is that all right? We can live this life, guys. He says in James 3, who's wise and understanding among you? I used to do weddings. These are the scriptures I did at weddings. I'd impart it to the bride and groom when they were coming together, and then that way I could teach it to the whole congregation too. And I told them, I said, listen, if you're asking me to marry you, I know it's your day. We'll do anything you want. It's your day. I mean, you can have a Ken and Barbie thing, but we're way more than Ken and Barbie. Do you understand? So I met with the bridegrooms and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, and I told them why they were there. I said, you're not here just to look pretty. You're not here so we have a 5x5 photo. You're a witness before God in this union of their vows and their consecration one to another in his presence. And because you're the best man, you are the best man. You're going to see to it everything in your power to see that this stays a healthy union and a close marriage that manifests the love of God. It's your honor. And if 6 months from now, he says, man, it ain't working good, man. She just gets on my nerves. I was a little worried about marrying her. You know, that's just something about her personality. I was just afraid. And now that we're together and I'm with her every day, I just can't take it, man. I just feel like I need to bail. And the best man, if he's a best man, says, what are you talking about, man? Since when is this about you? I stood there when you cried and gave your life to her. Have you even been praying, seeking Jesus, growing in the Spirit? Or are you just looking about what you don't accept anymore about her? Come on, you're living in the flesh. I can tell you've been letting your spirit, man, get dry. What's up with you, man? You ain't doing this to this girl. I watched you give your life to her. See, that's a best man. A man that's there to look pretty and be a bud and just be on the picture. It's frivolous. It's useless. Don't you have that in your wedding just because you want him on the picture. Because a man that's not a best man is going to say, dude, see, I knew, man. I had that feeling, man. I tried to tell you, you know, you weren't going to be able to tolerate that in her attitude and da-da-da. See, man, I knew you shouldn't have married her. It's not a best man. That's how I do weddings, man. I get the moms and dads, if they're all available, like if they both have a mom and dad, whoever they have. I get them all in a room. So in-laws are never outlaws. I get them to all come down with the guy and the girl. And I ask, who gives this bride and groom in marriage? And they together say, we do, so there ain't no mama holding on when the dad says, I do. And she says, I ain't giving her to nobody. Dad be walking you down someday. He's, woo, and mom's sitting there going, that's my baby. That's my baby. I just make sure it don't happen because she's always going to be your baby.
Amen.
Amen. But at some point, She's grown and she's a woman of God, and you've perceived love and covenant, and you give her the honor of stepping into that thing, and you pull back that veil and say, you know what? Young man, we give her to you. Whew. Jesus better be Lord in that situation, or it's just starry-eyed Hollywood movie and good pictures. You want that mighty Holy Ghost coming when you're exchanging vows and tying you together in cords that'll never be broken. I don't know how I got on this, but somebody's got to be listening. Man, I feel like doing a wedding. Phew. Do you hear the power of love? Anything less brings pain and sells you cheap and does injustice to the people around you. I'm being real. Self-centeredness is an evil and wicked thing because it hurts everyone around it. James 3, the scripture I use in weddings sometimes. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him prove by the conduct of his life that his works are done in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have envy and self-seeking in your heart, stop boasting and lying against the truth. What he's saying is get a grip on your heart and deal with it and make that thing go. Get it changed in God. Because this wisdom, self-seeking, you can be a Christian for self-centered reasons, guys. You can church shop. People church shop. Pastors are under the pressure of making their churches appeasable to the shoppers. You're not church shopping. You're becoming a part of his kingdom. You're becoming part of a family, and you're laying down your life to love. You're not church shopping, because if you're church shopping, the thing you like changes, you're out of here. And you've been a part of nothing. Come on. If you have envy or self-seeking in your heart, don't boast and lie against the truth. This wisdom doesn't come from above. It's earthly, sensual, and demonic. Watch. Where there's self-seeking present, self-seeking exists, confusion and every evil thing is present. Now watch this paradox. You're crying and praying for your spouse because you're hurt by your spouse. And you're mad at your spouse, and you're asking God to knock your spouse off their high horse. And the whole time you're praying from self-centered pain, and you're inviting everything you think you're rebuking. Do you know how many spouses pray for their spouse because they're in pain? They get reduced to another hurting spouse, and they just pray because of pain instead of mercy and love. Why is it so easy to cry because of people? Why don't we cry for people? Because we've learned to live for ourselves. My wife prayed for me for 13 years to change. 13 years. And I didn't change. I probably got worse. She got mad, gave up on me, and gave up on God, and I was glad she gave up on me. So I focused on this girl that was 8 years younger, and I had plans. My wife was 4 years older almost, and I thought that was cool when I was 19. That was cool. 19, 23, whoa. Now I'm 33. Right? And 24, 23, 25, whatever, it was right in that area. That sounded cool. Isn't it amazing what we do to each other? So I'm celebrating that we're not going to be together because I'm going to make it work. I'm looking in the mirror saying, you ain't the best looking cat in the planet, but somebody's going to need you. And Jesus comes and interrupts all that. Thank God. Here's the deal. I went to work that night, and there was no hope for me. If you'd have known me, I was just that way, and I was cold and hard. I came home an absolutely transformed man. Didn't even talk to a human being. Jesus met me in the aisle and changed me. When my wife found out, she got so mad, so offended, because what she prayed for 13 years happened after she gave up. She took it as a slap in the face. Because when I didn't change, she said, I'm done with this marriage. She told me, she pumped her fist and said, and God, I'm done with you. I prayed to you for 13 years. You didn't change him. In fact, he got worse. You let me, listen to the rationale, you let me and these kids go through hell, and you ain't never changed him. I don't need you either. And she walked off into delusion, anger and frustration and unforgiveness. Did I give her a right in the natural? Not a right in the kingdom. I get saved. She fights my salvation for 7 weeks to prove I'm a hypocrite and there's no way to break love. I didn't even know how to get mad anymore. I'm 7 days old in the Lord. I'm like, and all I can do is love. I'd come out of the bedroom from praying and she's standing there. You make me so mad. You act like the devil for 13 years and now you in there praying like you're some holy man. I don't think so. Hear the rationale? I could have said, well, Kim, God changes people and shows mercy. Unforgiveness hardens the heart and blinds the eyes. If you'd been praying and seeking God, you'd probably see what he's doing in my life. And then she'd have went, somebody pray for my eyes. All I'd do is weep because I knew what I put her through. I knew I never lived one day pursuing Jesus. I just expected from my wife. Never lived one day pursuing Jesus, just expected from my wife. And I knew it and I took responsibility for it. And I said, I will be a man of God. I didn't know what God was going to do in my marriage, but I had a good idea what he was going to do because I believed our marriage was his will to keep that thing. So I just loved him. She fought it hard for 7 weeks. And after 7 weeks, she's in the bathroom and God comes in the bathroom and goes, poof. The one she pumped her fist at wasn't offended. Say, hey, still, I'm trying to get over that little finger wag you gave me. He didn't come in all hurt, coming straight from counsel, from Michael and Gabriel cheering him on. No, go talk to her. Maybe she's changed her mind. No, in total security and confidence because he's loved. She doesn't owe him anything. He loves her. He poof in the bathroom. She's got the brush in her hair, curling her hair, and she goes, because God's standing there. And she knows it. He said, Kim, why are you so angry with that man? Pointing to the man she was angry with. Didn't say me. To get it? That man. The man you're remembering. Why are you so angry with him? It's not even the man you're angry with. In fact, Kim, watch what God said about me. He can't lie. In fact, Kim, this isn't even the man you married. I've made him a brand new man. She fell to the ground and cried and cried and cried, and he hovered over her, and he said, Kim, it's true you prayed for 13 years. It's true that I never answered your prayer. You tied my hands from responding to your prayer, Kim, because you only ever prayed from pain and anger and frustration. You never prayed from mercy and love. You never felt sorry for him. You were just angry at him. You were reduced to another hurting wife that prays. He said, and Kim, I couldn't answer your prayer because I won't empower that motive and allow you to stay that way because that motive's not love, that motive's not me. And she howled and cried. I'm out in the yard doing beans in the garden. I'm totally born again for 7 weeks. I'm in Jesus. I'm secure as could be. I'm not saying you got to bring back my wife. You got to save my marriage. You got to heal my wife. I'm so free. It's ridiculous. The door busts open. Who knows that I want to say I'm sorry to her? Who knows that I'm the one that has much to say I'm sorry for? Who knows that in a talk show it would make a very good one? Our little story. You'd be mad at me. You'd want to cry for her. Victim, villain, everybody loses. I'm standing there doing beans. I want to say I'm sorry so bad. I just don't have the opportunity. I'm just loving God. She comes running through the yard, charging me, crying uncontrollably, and I think the worst happened. I'm thinking she got a phone call you never want to get. I'm thinking if she's coming at me crying like this, running, somebody died. And I hear her talking under her breath 100 miles an hour, and guess what she's saying? Why is she saying what I'm about to say? Because the gospel comes and puts the light on you and gets it off of everybody else. And all of a sudden you take responsibility for your own heart and your own life and stop making everybody else your excuse or reason. Here's what my wife was running through the yard doing. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. I'm like, oh, she's like, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. I start bawling because it was emotional. And I'm like, what are you sorry for? I'm sorry. I'm thinking, I'm the one that's sorry. And she said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. It was that dramatic, man. It was uglier than that. I pushed her. I said, Kimmy, why are you so sorry? I'm sorry. It was just terrible. She pulled herself together. She said, no, I'm sorry. Because I prayed for you for 13 years to change, and you never changed. And I got so angry and cold. She said, but Dan, I never prayed for you because of love. I prayed for you because of pain and anger. I was so mad at you. I never prayed because I cared about you or loved you. And then when God answered that prayer, I was too angry, blind to see it or want it, and I fought it for 7 weeks. Forgive me. Oh my gosh. What a revelation. Because if you got certain girlfriends in your life, they're like, stop telling him you're sorry. He needs to repent. He needs to make up for all the hell he put you through. People that carry pain sympathize with people with pain. Stop letting your counselor see people that are hurting. It's a licking wound. Bleh. Nobody healed fest. It's sloppy. It's messy. It's amazing how hurting people gravitate to hurting people with the same stories. Support themselves in the lie and stay the same. So I looked at her. We hashed some things out. It was just as happening because I was getting visions of where she was and what she was doing. And I mean, my wife was hurt, man. My wife is so sweet. She's not a drug user. She's never been a... While she was in that 7-week period, she was drinking a mixed drink, smoking a joint with some girl, getting counsel from a girl 10 years younger, teaching her how to live her life. And she got the kids tucked in bed, sitting there, smoking a joint, drinking, saying, it'd be just like my husband one of these days to come home and say, I found the Lord. 15 minutes later, I called her overwhelmed. I don't know what to say and how. I don't even know. Why are you calling me? God, he's real. Click. It's comical. 7 weeks later, he restored his sight. I'm 7 weeks old in the Lord, guys. I didn't know this was going to happen, but guess what Jesus had me do? I said, honey, can I renew my vow? She said, is there any hope for this marriage? I said, hope for this marriage. I said, I love you. For the first time in my life, I could say and really know what I was saying. I love you. See, I used to say I love you to her all the time because it made things work. She was a Christian for 6 months when I met her. I didn't want Jesus, but I told her I was a Christian because I went to church because that's Christian. But I quit going to church, and now I met her. She said, you are a Christian, right? Oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, it just helped the cause. She's 24, or 3, I'm 19. This is a woman. She likes me. I'm going to score with a woman. That's my 19-year-old mind not thinking Jesus. So I told her I loved her. Of course I did, because people need to hear that, man. Man, that's the magic words. They don't feel lovable, and when you tell them you love them, vulnerability galore. That temporal Hollywood moment. You're loved. No, you're used and needed, and you're making them feel good most of the time. Is it all right if I'm real? Because watch this. First chance I got, I'm trying to make it happen with her. I'm just being straight, guys. Is it all right if I'm straight? First chance I got, I'm trying to make it happen with her. She said, Dan, what are you doing? I'm thinking, what am I doing? You're 23. You had 2 long-term relationships. What am I doing? And I just kept on trying to make it happen. And she stopped me and said, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? She said, we're Christians. And I went, oh, yeah, man, look, girl, you just do that to me. I'm sorry, you. Wretched, ain't it? Went home, threw a fit with God, threw my Bible against the wall. I was mad at because the gospel's in my face again. Because I just came from a girl that was 18 years old that didn't have a daddy, and I was taking advantage of that, and then the gospel interrupted that. Her convictions got in the way. So now I'm out there all alone, cut off because of the gospel. Now I find a 23-year-old, whoa, man. And now I'm getting cut off again because of the gospel. So I scream at the Bible and tell it I hate it and I wish I didn't know what you said and you're always in my face. Get out of my face. You never let me do what I want to do. Threw the Bible against the wall and went and drank vodka till I didn't remember nothing. Figured I'd teach God a lesson. So my wife, she talked to me. We were engaged then. Shortly after, we got engaged pretty quick, but it was a 9-month engagement. We just felt like we wanted to get married, but we didn't have no business getting married. God just is merciful. We were needy. I didn't know love. I needed. She was set up for me to hurt her. I love you is easy to say. It's more than words. It's amazing how for 9 months I would violate her conscience. I thought, well, if she ain't going to let me hit a home run, I'm going to have a good batting average. I'm going to get on base. I'm going to get singles, doubles, triples, and I'm going to try to score even if I get thrown out. I'm just being real, man. It's how a guy thinks without Jesus. Let me challenge you strong, young man. If Jesus is your Lord and you're in viable fellowship with him, you ain't thinking that way. You're dealing with that. And you will not put anybody in that position if you're truly in communion with him. Because if you live in the Spirit, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. You will not violate honor. How's that for straight talk? Because here's what I did to a young lady that was 6 months fresh in the Lord that needed a man of God or a mentor or a woman of God to help her along. Here I am in her life, her boyfriend. Last thing she needed. For 9 months, Pastor, I crossed every line I could get away with, made her cry again and again and again until we were married. We can't do this anymore. This got to stop. We're going to be married soon. Please don't. And I don't have the strength sometimes. And just look, I know, I'm sorry. I'm in that same, man, you're just so amazing to me. I just love you. Oh, you love me? Yeah, I love you. Made her cry again and again and again. And one day I stand there and we marry. Now it's legal. What a bunch of junk, man. The whole time living at the expense of her. Calling it love when I'm created to lay down my life for her. And that's love. See how twisted things got? Man, I ended on a sharp note, didn't I? Whew, you can feel that thing, right? Listen, I took a lot of time. I taught a lot. There's a lot we could do. I don't even know. I want you to give yourself to this. Lately, I've been just teaching. It's on me. There's a mandate on my heart to talk like this every time I stand up. I can't get away from it. I feel like it's the heart cry of God. I feel like he doesn't want us to miss the greatest opportunity of our lives. We got this little window called life. We're here. We're in it now. I was just looking at a book in Jim, you had a book down there. You had a book about Kentucky and the pictures, and I was checking through it a little before I went to bed. I just saw it there. And I noticed it was written in 82. And I never usually think this way, but I looked at a lot of the people, a lot of them were elderly, and I thought, wow, they're all past. Everybody in this book, nobody that I'm looking at is even alive. You could tell they would, because they'd be like 130 or 20 or something, because there were some elderly folks. And I thought, wow, and it sobered me. I thought, man, this is my time. This is your little window. This is when you're here. And days are just going, and you redeem the times, for the days are evil. You rise, you come from out of your sleep and awake unto righteousness. You make the most of the moment, and you leave a mark in the hearts of men of the glory of God and the image of God. You don't heap it upon yourself and even pray that God gets you through. You pray to become more like him so that you can impart to hearts and leave a legacy forever. This is your time. And this is my time too. And I'm not going to spend it with issues. I'm not going to spend it with he said, she said, and well, I don't feel because they didn't. Well, they should have. Well, I wouldn't be this way if they... Come on, that's lame. In the light of the big picture, that's a zero. So you settle in your heart today that you're going to be a steward of your heart, not somebody else's. And you're going to hear the gospel for you, not your neighbor. And you're going to have a relationship with him. Not wish everybody else would change. Because I'm telling you, friend, that's the day you'll find freedom.